Hey guys, this is Brittany Day again. I am doing another vlog video. I had looked at my previous vlogs and realized that I had never really discussed something with you, and it's a subject that I don't usually discuss, not because I'm necessarily embarrassed by it or ashamed of it. I want my art to speak for itself. So this video is going to be all about my life with cerebral palsy. Now, some people don't know what cerebral palsy is, so let me first describe exactly what it is, or at least what I know it to be. Well, the type of cerebral palsy that I have is called ataxic cerebral palsy. It affects my motor skills and balance. I've also had developmental issues that caused my muscles to be extremely weak. And how cerebral palsy usually comes about is it comes from a injury that occurs during or before, during, and after birth, or one of the three. And my doctors don't really know what exactly happened to me. When I was 2 years old, I was still very limp. I was limp just like a newborn. I couldn't walk, and my doctors were actually quite concerned with that. They thought previously that I was not only blind, but I was deaf and paralyzed. So they did a bunch of tests, and I had numerous EEGs, and I had MRIs and CAT scans and other things like that. And they really couldn't find anything that was wrong with me. So they decided to diagnose me with cerebral palsy, which they told my mother it was kind of like a umbrella diagnosis. They weren't quite sure exactly how to define what was going on with me. So when I got older, they decided to put me into physical therapies. And so during that physical therapy, I learned to walk and talk, and I was able to be able to hold my head up and other things like that. So we ended up trying to find ways that would make therapy easier for me, because I was still having kind of a bit of a difficulty. And my therapist set me up with an easel and had me paint. And to my doctor's surprise and my therapist's surprise, that I was doing that actually quite well. I was doing that a lot easier than I was doing other things like getting, putting beads on strings and pegs and boards and things like that. Normal things that you would have to do through therapy with your hands. And so they decided to use that as part of a skill set to get me into doing therapy. So they made it a little easier for me. And they actually told my mother that painting on an easel was very hard for someone with my particular diagnosis. So they were actually, I'm very surprised about it, like I'd mentioned before. So school never really was too hard for me. I think the physical part of it was. I always had some great resource teachers and other things like that. I got to leave class in the middle of class to do some therapy, and had a blast with that. That was like my favorite part of the day. And a lot of people were a little bit jealous of me because I got to go have fun in the gym. And I actually remember one time my gym teacher gave me a piece of candy because I had actually got a a basketball hoop, and I was having so much trouble with that, and all the other kids had done had done that previously, and very beforehand, and I was still struggling with that. So she gave me some, I think it was a warhead or something, because it was during that time that warheads had first come out, and I was the reigning champion of the warhead people, because I was awesome at keeping that stuff in my mouth. But anyway, I also I never really had too many people make fun of me. I did have a lot of people question certain tools that I used. I had used a hand weight, and I used a pencil weight and an Alpha Smart during my school years. It made things a little easier because I had strong tremors in my hands because of my ataxia. And so that's what they decided to do for me. And I remember one specific incident where my teacher had actually had some kid had asked me why I used that stuff, and she announced to the class what it was for, and it didn't bother me at all. I think she had heard enough of it that she wanted everybody to understand that things I could I learned just as well as everybody else. I just had some physical problems that caused me to go write slower, or do certain things in the classroom slower. I was very bright. I actually was one of the lucky few who got to graduate early in my before my other classmates, and I never I didn't skip any grades, but I did get to graduate my the middle of my senior year. So anyway, I think I had some amazing friends. I don't think I had some amazing friends. I know I had some amazing friends. They always stuck up for me. They were always by my side, especially when the few and far between people would start to make fun of my ataxia, or the muscle weaknesses that I had, or other things like that. And they were very, very polite, and I love my friends, and they've continued to be my friends. And even my new friends that I've been lucky enough to meet over the past few years have definitely been there to support me and to stick up for me when people who don't necessarily understand what it's like to live with a disability, they usually got my back on that. So I'm very thankful for my friends. But I think the only incident I really remember about someone making fun of my disability actually was in 6th grade, and it was with a teacher who I used to run with my head back. I could barely hold up my head, and he got in front of the class and did a demonstration outside, and everybody was laughing, and I even laughed. I wasn't quite sure exactly how to take it and how to respond to it, so I just laughed with the rest of class. But after a few days, I realized what had happened, and I felt so terrible about it, and it really started to affect me, especially in my classroom. And I got sent to the resource room, which was a room where people in either special ed or kids on disciplinary activities would go to be able to do classwork better. So I had to be put in that classroom during a lot of my 6th grade year. But I remember we had this class, it was a pure bonding class, and it was a really good class, and it was with the art teacher, so I really blossomed in that. But we talked about issues, and then I brought up the issue about what had happened to me about when the teacher had made fun of me, and I was utterly surprised when everyone in the classroom understood. And I don't think anyone in the classroom thought that I was overreacting or anything like that. And I even had a few kids tell me, because I was afraid to talk to the teacher after that, they offered to talk to him for me, and I never knew if they did or not, but I did feel very much accepted because of that. And I felt a part of the class after that, because after I got sent to the resource room for my classes, I felt less a part of the class, and they really helped me feel welcome during that program that we were in. And so with the teacher, I never really had a problem with him after that. In fact, he went into a special needs class, or as a special needs teacher in high school. And when I moved up to high school, I actually ended up having him as my special needs class instructor, and he took care of my caseload during my IEP meetings. IEP stands for Individual Education Plan. And he changed a lot. I think he grew up, and he treated me a lot better and with a lot more respect. And, I didn't require an apology. I pretty much considered his, change in how he treated me as an apology. So there was no need for one after that. So anyway, I know this is a bit of a long one, so I'm probably gonna splice this up into 2 vlogs, for one with my school, obviously, and then one for now, since I am about, I don't know, almost 8 years after since I've been out of school. So we'll talk to you later, and I hope you have a great day, and don't forget, be inspired.